The Etymons of Nick Fuentes, Part 1. Us as philosophy, US as philosophy, axioms of the familiar stranger, the fly. I am Abe Zucca. This is the beginning of a new project, Etymons of Nick Fuentes. Am not I a fly like thee? As flies to wanton boys are we to the gods. Flies bring us disconcertingly to ourselves. Familiar stranger. Every familiar stranger is a mirror turned askew. The fly shows us the intolerable intimacy of the insignificant, the co-dwelling of disgust and kinship, the reciprocity of hosts who refuse to admit they are hosting each other. The fly returns to us, to ourselves, not through resemblance, but through our own disavowed proximities, decay, dwelling, attention, appetite, revealing that the world's smallest cohabitant has already made a home inside our hygienic metaphysics. The fly is the emblem of the ungovernable. It obeys neither taxonomy of pets nor the architecture of domestication, marking a zone of creaturely autonomy that resists the entire human project of taming, ordering, and enrolling the other into purpose. It is a counterfigure to all technoscientific totalizations, a black speck of anarchic independence in the air conditioning of the modern room. The familiar stranger remains a guardian of unclean proximities. Its body is an index of all forbidden adjacencies, a vector of ruinous mixtures, a reminder that categorical purity is always breached by tiny emissaries who refuse the border between pure and the putrid. Dwelling and co-dwelling. To dwell is to share air, and the fly is the first philosopher of this shared element. Its halters beat out the measures of an atmosphere we pretend to inhabit alone. As the fly settles on our window, cup, or skin, it demonstrates that dwelling is inherently plural, inherently porous, inherently compromised. Every house is cohabited long before it is inhabited. The fly perceives our architecture, inherits our excreta, and turns our dwelling into distributed feeding fields, exposing the unspoken fact that shelter is a negotiation, never an ownership. The fly returns the room to its elemental state, to air, decay, and exposure, undoing the fantasy of a sealed environment. Even the cleanest interior is an extension of the midden. Even the purest chamber is perforated by trajectories of filth and fight. The unclean, the sacred, the displaced. The fly is the anti-angel of impure enunciation, where angels bring messages from heaven. Flies bring the untranscended truth of proximity, of what cannot be purified, of all the places we fear to map. Every prohibition summons its counterfigure, and the fly is the emissary of violated partitions. It is the living criticism of cultures that dream of absolute separations between the clean and the unclean, the sacred and the defiled. The fly feels that the hygienic imagination is a metaphysical project. Its failure proves that metaphysics leaks and that every doctrine of purity has its tiny refutation buzzing at its edge. Attention, seeing, and surveillance. The fly is the first observer of the human. His compound eyes gather the world not as we do, but as a shimmering multiplicity, reminding us that our singular perspective is a provincial tool among many possible apprehensions. It is the original all-seeing minor God, the household panopticon, the witness of every human scene. There are no secrets for the fly, because the fly is the secret of the scene. Whatever we attempt to conceal, it already touches. Whatever we refuse to speak, it already inhabits. Its wings beat out the impossibility of private space in a world of circulating contagious and circulating desires. Morality and the anthropology of the small. The fly is the mnemonic of our insignificance. Humans are flies who pretend to be eagles. Flies are humans who have stopped pretending. The fly brings us to the unbearable closeness of death, not through prophecy, but through the casual indifference to the difference between living and the soon-to-be eaten. To die like flies is not a metaphor, but a metaphysics. The fly's short life folds the human arc into an accelerated parable, a life measured in days rather than decades, showing that duration is less important than vulnerability. The fungus that consumes the fly is our own forgotten theology, life feeding on death, death feeding on life, the mutual devouring that underlies every ontology of the flesh. In the stiffening fly, we see the effigy of our own decomposition, the future perfect of our bodies. War, courage, and the miniature heroic. Ancient admiration for the fly-like courage reveals a truth we have repressed, that bravery is not a scale but a relation, and the smallest charge at the largest obstacle can radiate a metaphysical grandeur unmatched by any general. The fly's fearlessness is the archetype of the counter-heroic, not the epic slayer, but the impudent intruder who attacks giants, returns after SWAT, and makes persistence its virtue. The miniature is the secret reservoir of the heroic. The fly proves that courage is not property of stature, but an intensity of presence and persistence, a refusal to disappear, even when crushed by daily forces, a thousandfold greater. Myth, ritual, and the comic sacred. The fly participation in ancient rituals, sipping from altars, circulating sacrifices, showing that the comic and the sacred have always shared the same air. The fly is the officiant of the ridiculous divine. Wherever gods were involved, flies gathered. Wherever the sacred was separated, flies breached. They are the ritual's shadow operatives, the uninvited guests who prove that no ceremony can purify its own surroundings. The fly is the low metaphysician of the feast. It reminds us that every offering, every sacrifice, every divine banquet decays into the same sweetness that nourishes maggots. Techniques, movements, and atmospheric sovereignty. The halters of the fly are the oldest gyroscopes. Flight and breath fuse into a single mechanic pulse, an early template for technoscience, for cybernetic motion, for the imagination of body and device. To understand the fly is to glimpse the prehistory of the drone, the nano-automatism, the swarm logic that shadows every human attempt to dominate the air. The fly's sovereignty is atmospheric. It rules not by territory but by trajectories, not by possession, but by instantaneous occupation. The fly is every modern network in miniature, distributed, quick, impossible to pin down. Identity, face, and the unfigurable. The fly's face, its blank iridescence, unreadable mask, is the emblem of unfigurable identity. The creature that is all face, and yet reveals nothing in its absolute expressionlessness, was recognized the nightmare of a self that shows everything but means nothing. The fly marks the limit of figuration, where animals with faces become characters. The fly remains pure function, pure gesture, pure vector. It is the point where anthropomorphism breaks down, where empathy thins, where the imagination refuses to enter. And yet the fly is our figure of the faceless within ourselves, the part of us that has no profile, no portrait, no stable form, the drifting, buzzing, thoughtless center of our mortal being. Reciprocity, filth, and the human as host. Human did not merely host flies, we cultivate them unwittingly, becoming the pastoralists of our own decay, the keepers of the midden, the stewards of the organic excess that feeds all synthropic life. Every fly that lands on our table is a returning emissary, bearing the message of our own waste. We think we are encountering the outside, but we are only greeting the messengers of our interiorities. The fly proves that contamination is not an event, but a relation ongoing, reciprocal, co-evolving, inescapable. The filth the fly carries to us is our own. The proximity it violates is one we created. The danger it embodies is the surplus of our own excess.